Hey guys, you can call me Fletch, and welcome to my first ever video. Well, ever. So before we get into the actual review, I'll just tell you a bit about myself and why I made this channel in the first place. So yeah, I'm a huge Nintendo fanboy, as in I'll buy any game with the word Mario or Zelda in it, and every day I'll just look up any new news, reviews, trailers, Nintendo Directs on all those gaming websites. So yeah, in light of this, I decided to make a channel, and well, this is my channel. I don't think that made much sense. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is, I made this channel just to spread my opinion, and yeah, just for fun I guess. But I'm starting to ramble, so let's just jump into our review for Professor Layton and the Azran Legacy. So the Professor Layton series has been running for a pretty long time now, 6, 7, 8 years or something like that. And it spanned over 6 games, and it's made heaps of fans, me included. So when they announced this next Layton game, I was pretty excited. I mean, any fan would. But then they announced something else. They said that this next game would be Layton's last outing. Okay, yes, he's already had 6 games already, and even a movie, so I guess they don't want him to go stale or whatever. But still, it's sad to see such an iconic character go. I mean, I've played all of his games, and none of them have been flawed. Well, at least until now. Yes, I know, that's a bold statement to call Azran Legacy not up to par with these past games, but it's actually what I think. So to further push my opinion forward, let's jump right into it, shall we? Professor Layton and the Azran Legacies kicks off when a man named Professor Sycamore sends Layton, Luke and Emmy a letter detailing the sightings of a living mummy who has apparently been frozen in a cave for what appears to be a very long time. So in true Layton fashion, he flies to the location of the frozen girl in the Bostonians, a flying ship that enables you to fly around the world later in the game. Once the trio reach the snowy place called Frohenberg, they find the cave, which opens up after they touch a snowman. Genius! And after a bit of banter, the girl breaks free and informs us that her name is actually Aurora, and she's part of an ancient civilization called the Azran. Being archaeologists, the two professors ask her many questions about the past civilization, in the hope of discovering something new. However, they aren't the only ones who want the girl. An evil group called Targent, which is seen in the past games, appears and takes Aurora for their own selfish reasons. So Layton, his apprentice Luke, his assistant Emmy, and the newly discovered Professor Sycamore head off on an adventure around the world in the hope of taking down Targent and unlocking the truth of the Azran. Right off the bat, the main story of this game has an incredibly good premise, and is probably the main reason to keep playing the game. It makes you want to find out more and discover everything about the Azran civilization. However, there is a big problem with the middle part of the game, but I'll get to that later. Another thing that you see at the beginning of the game are its glorious cutscenes. All of the Layton games have these beautifully made anime cutscenes, and this entry is no different. They also look especially good on the 3DS's widescreen, and give you a little spark of joy every time you see one coming up. In fact, the whole game looks really good. Every place that you visit looks fantastic, and you really feel like you're looking into art. The 3D effect also adds a lot of depth, and changes the landscapes into a 3D diorama of sorts, which is very pleasing to the eye. The 3D models of the characters also look very good, and far less blocky when compared to Miracle Mask, which made the characters look, well, yeah. I also love the way it seamlessly faded when you tap to go to another area. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, the game looks rather delicious. As for the music, I actually really like it, and it's probably one of my favourite things about the game. The tracks are all very jazzy and just make you want to click those fingers of yours, though I wouldn't mind maybe having a few different tracks while solving a puzzle. But other than that, I think this may be one of the best soundtracks I've ever heard, and that main theme. Now the gameplay in this is essentially the same as every other Layton game. You choose where you want to go on the bottom screen, and then you use your magnifying glass to talk to others and solve their puzzles, find hidden coins, collectibles, and maybe a hidden puzzle as well. This is essentially how you progress through the game, and although it may not sound fun, in actual fact, it is. This is helped by the people that you meet having heaps of personality, and they can be very humorous as well. Although I still don't like that granny with all the puzzles that you miss. There's just something off about her. The game is also packed with content, as there is over 150 puzzles in the main game, as well as daily puzzles that are coming in for free over a full year. So if you do the math, there are over 500 puzzles in the game. So there is definitely enough content, and completionists will be playing this game for a very long time. The game does change things up though by enabling the player to have a bit more freedom. Early in the game, you are tasked with finding 5 objects that are found in 5 different places around the world. From here, you can choose where you want to go and in which order you want to find the objects in. So essentially the game goes, hey, here's everything, now do it in whatever way you want. The gameplay is pretty much unaffected by this, and it's still as good as all the other later games. However, the game's story is the one that feels a strain from this decision. Alright, so let's start with the good part of it. The good part is that it makes it more of your adventure around the world, and less of a set path that everyone who buys the game will experience. It enables all of the buyers of this game to play something a little different, and may even add some replay value to the fans. Now the bad that comes from it is a big one in my opinion. This one thing may not even affect some gamers' enjoyment of the game, but it certainly affected mine. The problem that comes from this non-linear nature is that it concentrates on other plots and strays away from the main plot, the thing that mainly kept me coming back for more. You see, the game makes you visit 5 different places around the world, and each of these places has a different plot. All of these plots aren't terrible, but when compared to the game's main plot, they're a bit of a bore. For example, when you visit the jungle, you see a leader of a tribe who is especially unhappy, and the people are trying to make him happy again. So Layton and the gang are tasked with trying to make him happy. That's it. I mean, I haven't got anything against happiness, but come on, I want to be finding out the secret of the Azran and shutting down an evil organization, not trying to make some guy who doesn't even affect the plot in any way happy. To the game's defense though, the rest of the plots aren't as bad as this one, but I would still have rather gone further into the main plot than all this pointless filler. They don't even get mentioned after you solve the problem, and they feel like a missed opportunity. Couldn't they at least connect the plots to the main story or something? But the thing that annoys me most is that the main plot is sort of forgotten throughout most of the game. It's instead replaced by these 5 little plots that do nothing to push the story further. I just wish the game at least had some sort of reference to the main plot during or at least after each place you visit. I mean, yeah, they do have a little reference at the end of every place you visit, but all it ever states is a sentence or two about some little trivia of the Azran that has no effect on the story whatsoever and is never talked about again. Couldn't they just refer to the main plot in a bit more of a bolder way? I would have been more interested in that than trying to make some angry tribal leader happy. I know this may not seem like a big thing, but it hurt my experience with the game immensely. This problem became especially prominent at the game's finale as it seems incredibly rushed, and it really could have been something more. The twists at the end I didn't see coming at all, and I was still shocked, but there was no build up to them whatsoever, as the game was too busy with the 5 other pointless plots. The entire finale seemed rushed, but even so, I still did like the finale as it was a great end to a great series. It just makes me wonder how much the game's story could have benefited from a better build up, or at least a linkage between the plots.
Alright, so before we get into the actual review, I'll just explain the scale, which is behind this, and I'll explain how my reviews actually work. So firstly, I'll write the title here, so Layton Azran Legacy, for example. And then here, I'll have all the good points that I liked about it, and then I'll have all the bad points that I didn't like about it. But then I'll assign a number to each point based on how much it affects the game. So it'll be either a 1, 2 or 3. And then I'll add all those numbers in each section. So say this was 3, 2 and 1, something like that. Then I'll put 6 here, and say this was 2, or something like that. Then I'll put 2 here. And then what I'll do is I'll minus the bad from the good. So 6 minus 2, so that's 4. So then I'll put here 4 out of 6. And then I'll convert that to a fraction of 10, so it's easier for you guys to understand. And yeah, that'll be our final score. Alright, now I'll explain the actual review scale. So I'm doing something that I like to call the 3 L's. You know? But yeah, anyway. So the first L is that it adds a little. So little L. Anyway, yeah, so a 1. Adds little is 1 point. So this is something that is a nice touch, but it's, you know, even if it didn't have it, it wouldn't be that much of a difference. A 2 would be your average one, so it adds a lot. So that would be like if the game has good graphics, good music, good presentation or something like that. And a 3 adds loads. So this is something that's the main substance of the game and the thing that I like most about it and what makes the game good. And the bad scale. So a 1, it's similar stuff, so the 3 L's still. So it takes little, so this is something that, it's a little kick. It doesn't like choke the game, so it's bad, but it's, you know, it would have been better without it, but it's not a big deal. 2 would be your average one once again. This is something that affects the game, but not as much as a 3 would. So a 3 is that takes a load, so this is something that really makes the game bad. Like this is the thing that ruins it. And yeah. Alright, so let's get started with the actual review. Sorry if the whiteboard's a bit small and the writing's a bit small and the camera's not the best, so it may be a bit hard to read, so I'll just read them all out for you. Alright, so first one, fantastic music. The music's just so good and it just sets such a good tone for the game and it just absorbs you into the world, I guess. So I'm going to give this 2. Yeah, similar thing with the great visuals. I mean, it looks so good in 3D and it really immerses you in the world that made for you. So, also a 2. Now the strong main plot. The main plot's just so good and the start just makes you want to find out more. It's disappointing the middle, but I can't say this main plot's not good. So, also a 2. Now, loads of extra content. This is what made me like the game so much. I mean, there's just so much to do. I mean, okay, you have 150 puzzles in the main game, alright? And then you have 365 puzzles daily. I mean, I don't think you could ask for more than that. So a 3. Alright, excellent puzzles. Now, this is sort of similar to this. 500 puzzles that are all fantastic, so what more could you ask for? 3. Alright, now onto the bads. So these 2 points are sort of similar, as they sort of affect each other, but I thought it would be easier just to make them 2. Alright, so the main plot is drowned out by the subplots. This is my main problem with the game. This is the only problem with the game, really. It's so disappointing that the subplots sort of took a front row seat, while the main plot was at the back, and the main plot was much better than these subplots. So, I'm going to give this a 2. Alright, rush finale. This is sort of because of this, as it's so concentrate on the subplots that it sort of tries to cram the finale in. The finale's so good, but it's just so disappointing that it was so rushed. So, I'll give this a 1. Alright, now to add them all up. So, 2, 4, 6, 12. 12 for the good. And 3. 3 for the bad. So then, just to remind you, I'll minus the bads from the good, so a 9 out of 12. And then, I'll convert it to a fraction out of 10. By the way, I did this stuff beforehand, so I don't think you really want to see me thinking all the time, because I'm not that smart. But anyway, yeah, the final score is a 7.5 out of 10. So the game's good, but it's just these 2 things just sort of weigh it down a bit. So the gameplay's good, the story's, it's okay. That about wraps up my review for Professor Layton and the Azran Legacy, and my first video ever. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, dislike, actually don't do that. And yeah, have a happy holiday, Merry Christmas, and I'll see you all later. Bye.